Hello, I'm JX Editor. That's over there. That guy is uh that you see it's hard. I have a hard time reading it when it's like there are no spaces.
It's the Hobbit fan editor.
Oh, oh. See, I
Yeah,
maybe if only
it doesn't
somebody
sound
wrote it
as,
right in the title in the title of this video.
it doesn't sound as cool, like hello, I'm JX editor. That sounds cool, but hello, I'm the Hobbit fan editor. It doesn't quite have the same ring to it, does it? So for
Well,
people's
yeah,
viewing
because
pleasure at home,
hobbits are much more enthusiastic than that.
I've always thought they're more resilient. We're not doing,
Really?
doing that whole thing. We're not doing that whole thing. We're here for Star Wars today, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking
Listen, you
Star Wars.
got me in a trap there. Yeah, we are here for Star Wars. It is we're doing a 2-in-1 review for a 3-in-2 fan edit. So
Try and wrap your head
have
around
fun.
that one.
Yeah, try saying that 5 times when you're smashed.
We have we
Legend.
have a comment, do we? I can actually see comments. I can't click them, but Kaio Rosano. Hello there.
That you are a bold one. I did the thing.
You did.
Yeah. I probably should have responded to that when we first got here. That was 45 minutes ago when we.
Oh wow. Okay.
I was first
Kaio,
setting this up.
Hopefully you're still around.
So yeah, we're reviewing Legend of the Solo Twins because we've both been looking forward to this, and despite Chris looking forward to it, I had no guarantee he would actually watch it unless I suggested we review it. So
No, I
we
was
are.
going to watch it. This was I mean the edit was done by 21C Peasant, I believe his name is on YouTube. Go and check his channel out. He's done lots of other edits as well, the little Star Wars ones and from other things too. That I don't even know how I happened upon the video. I don't know if you linked it to me. I don't know if I was YouTubing Star Wars edit videos for my own research. And then I discovered that someone had put Snoke on Exegol. And the roto actually looked really fucking good from those initial videos that I watched. And I was like, oh my God, someone's tackling this. Now, I thought someone had just done it as, 21 Peasant had just done it as a lark. He'd just done it as a what if video. And he said, no, this is going to be part of a fan edit that I'm making. And I actually can't remember how long ago we've been waiting for this. I want to say it was probably like the summertime, maybe. We found
not that long in the perspective of fan edits, honestly.
Yeah.
It's not like we waited 2 years for this and then it didn't come out.
And those videos, I mean, they've blew up a little bit, I guess. I actually haven't checked back on them since this edit's been released, but I know a lot of people, I actually remember seeing a lot of the comments of YouTubers that I recognize. I know from your videos and stuff you've kept in that Star Wars sphere, people that have commented on your videos and followed fan edits saying, this looks really promising. I can't wait to see what you do with this. Loads of people, including myself, were trying to think, right, okay, so he's using the Snoke footage from The Last Jedi from the throne room scene and he's reworking it into a new ending. How's that going to work? How can it work? Because you're taking a climax scene from The Last Jedi with characters that are in a completely different outfit and things like that, different setting, different circumstances, and then you're repurposing that for the third movie. You're getting rid of Palpatine completely and getting Snoke back in there. And I was trying to almost edit it in my head of how I think it could go. And I asked for a change list and he kind of gave me the initial pitch of how these two parts were split. That the first part is pretty much just Force Awakens nudged in a slightly different direction here and there, but for all intents and purposes it's pretty much the edits that you've seen from either HAL 9000. He's cherry picked from a bunch of different edits that people have done for Force Awakens, and then part 2 is really where the bulk of that new footage and repurposed stuff comes in, I think.
Yeah, I was honestly going into this worried that we were. It was just going to be modified Force Awakens with a couple references to the greater story that it was trying to tell.
which is kind
I
of
was
what it is, in all honesty,
kind
part
of,
one.
but I was pleasantly surprised at how modified and how frequently we're reminded about the new story.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
I think
important as well because you got to ground, and there is a prologue scene as well, which there's no opening crawl in this, which I must admit was kind of weird, and I think it would have been better. I get that it's a part one and
disagree.
part two and meant to be kind of like an epilogue, but this isn't like Rogue One where you could make an argument that it doesn't need a crawl because it's a spin-off thing. But I don't know. I would have liked one in there, and I think you could have still got across all the information that you needed to. But there is a prologue scene. We will get into that in just a minute because it's not quite what I hoped for. But it does kind of set you up with a story and pays respects to legend, I suppose, if you're looking out for all that stuff. But no, this was one of my most anticipated edits, definitely. Not to go off on too much of a tangent, but really just in terms of my own research, because I've been mulling over ideas of how I could edit the sequel trilogy loads. Lord knows you know this. And every
Lord
now and then I'll
knows.
go through sort of like peaks and wanes with my interest of what I would do with the sequel trilogy. And a lot of times I've just abandoned them as a bad job, thinking there's no way because I hate so much. And I just, if I cut it out, I can't cobble it all together. And narratively, things have to happen first before other things, which doesn't really line up with what I want to do. So yeah, I was very interested with this project to see what someone new could bring something to the table that perhaps we haven't seen before. The biggest selling point for me definitely was what I just mentioned, was like Snoke on Exegol, and just seeing how that could play out for the finale.
Yeah, when having tried to help you through your periods of sudden creativity when it comes to the sequels, I was very interested with how he was going to do Snoke on Exegol, and it's like you said earlier. I was almost trying to edit it in my head, except what I ended up doing was doing what I knew he wasn't doing, and edited. Base basically what I would have done with this would have probably included more of the Rise of Skywalker.
Mm.
But I'll get into that when we get into the notes. I think specifically in the movie notes.
I will say, when I actually saw that 21C Peasant had uploaded the Snoke on Exegol thing, there was a moment where I thought, fuck, someone got there before I did. Because do you remember ages back? I actually can't remember what year it was. I sent you a video of like a mock edit that I'd done of like, oh, what if it was on Exegol? I hadn't rotoscoped it or anything. I literally just spliced in footage of Snoke from the throne room scene from Last Jedi. Still had the red background and everything, but I was
I
adding
don't
like
know what
young
you're talking about,
Rey,
man.
welcome,
I
and
think I think this is
I recorded it
wow.
on my phone and sent it over, and I was like, oh, what if that conversation happened? And yeah, but I mean, yeah, the rotoscoping's pretty fucking good on this.
I don't think that actually happened. I don't know.
You son of a bitch.
So do you want to reintroduce our old mechanics?
Sure. Okay, so I had to ask you what the criteria was because it's been a while since we reviewed a fan edit using this criteria. We've got a bunch of different categories that we're going to be reviewing this. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 criteria. Those are originality. How original is the concept in a world, the sea of so many Star Wars fan edits, especially the sequel trilogy? How does this stack above the rest? Invisibility. That's more in line with the actual edits and the cuts themselves. That can be from the audio to the visuals. Are there any abrasive changes that take you out as a viewer and go, oh, you can tell that was tinkered with, or does it flow very seamlessly as a normal film should do? Complexity. I guess that's based on the actual task of the project, the workload and things like that. Am I right in saying that? The complexity of the project?
Yeah, basically, how different is it from the original film,
Yeah.
and how much effort generally went into it? Not necessarily how much effort went into it from this particular editor, but from the editors at large.
Yeah.
Because that's basically the difference between complexity and originality. That last part.
Necessity, pretty much as it says, it's did we need this edit? How necessary was this edit in the grand scheme of fan edits in general, and Star Wars fan edits especially? I guess you could also say as maybe a tool for other fan editors to take and maybe use this footage and repurpose it themselves in something. Because with fan edits, very much with permission, obviously, it's very much like a handing of the baton to the next edit to see what else they can do with it. That's at least how I've seen it anyway. And the last one is a wonderful little word, a word that you coined when we did these reviews.
I
Is
think you came up with this one actually.
oh, did I? Oh, okay, movidity. Is just how does it function as a film in its own right, taking out all the other criteria that we've done, just solely as a movie that you could just sit down and watch as you would if you went to the movie theater, if you watch something on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. How does it work as a film? And yeah, those are our 5 criteria that we'll be reviewing.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Should I? We're starting off with originality.
I guess so. Yeah. Do we want to talk about sort of briefly, like the broad strokes of what was changed in part 1? Anything that really jumped out to you that you really enjoyed as a change? Maybe something you didn't like.
I mean, big thing that jumped out, I think, was probably the introductory prologue.
In a good way or a bad way?
I think considering that this was like a Star Wars story, like Rogue One and Solo, I think conceptually it works. Though I've got some comments about it when we get to invisibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So for me, biggest positive. I mean, I don't think this is spoiling anything. I think well, it's definitely not because it says it in the title of the goddamn fan edit. The Solo twins. The biggest conceit of this is that right from the bat, you know that Rey and Kylo are siblings, and I've always thought that worked. I've always think that whether that was the original idea, if Disney even had a fucking idea what they wanted to do with the characters from the sequel trilogy, which loads of reports are coming out recently saying that they didn't, which, doesn't surprise me at all. But I've always felt that whether it was intentional or not, Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver kind of played it that way. I always got that kind of dynamic from them. So when you had all the Reylos out in their droves and fan fiction and everything about Rey and Kylo, and I guess you could say that kind of stemmed from The Last Jedi as well, where she sees him without a shirt on. So there's that whole element, but it always felt awkward to me, and it always felt like it was more of a sibling dynamic, and I always thought that would work much better for the story. I know that George Lucas's original idea for the sequel trilogy was that it was going to be the grandchildren of Vader, and whether that was always going to be the idea, and then J.J. Abrams threw his fucking mystery box of ideas in there and decided, oh no, we'll keep her identity a mystery because it's intriguing and stuff like that. I don't know. So just in terms of the changes that I really liked, I like that right from the off, we know that they're siblings, and then we're just kind of watching the story unfold from there. You get some neat little flashbacks and little vision sequences that Rey has, especially during the interrogation scene with Kylo. It always kind of reminds you of that. There's some new repurposed dialogue here and there of Kylo knowing that they're siblings from that part 1. So I think that was probably my favorite changes in part 1. It's difficult to say what I can give credit to this edit specifically, because Force Awakens edits better than I do. And for example, there's bits where Finn fights that stormtrooper with the electro staff, and that stormtrooper has a voice now. Now, I think that's been used in a previous edit. I think there's aspects.
He had a voice before.
Well, traitor, but he's actually like shit talking about as they're fighting. He's like, "Oh, you've turned against your own kind. You're a coward," and things like that. And it just adds a little bit more character to some of the other stormtroopers, especially right about you. I still think it's weird that one stormtrooper has.
Carl.
We got Carl. Hey, man. Happy New Year, dude. How you doing? I've always thought it was weird that one stormtrooper is the only one armed with a fucking weapon that can just conveniently at that time fight against lightsabers. What are the odds? But my biggest negative from part 1, it would probably be the prologue. I did think the prologue was kind of unnecessary. I still think you could have got all that through.
Do you?
Yeah, I kind of do.
In
I think
this story?
I think there are ways that you could have put that in, either with extra voiceover, being a bit more overt with some of the vision sequences, or at least saving some of those revelations for part two. Um, I didn't get anything from the text. It didn't seem like it was in keeping with Star Wars. Just the way things were worded, I just really didn't like the text at the beginning. Just randomly crowbarring in fan films of Mara Jade in there and Thrawn. It's like, this is totally unnecessary because it doesn't serve anything for this story, and it's
It's
basically
trying to
saying,
be part of Legends.
I know, but it can't be part of Legends because you have things like
Jaina.
Jason Solo and Jaina, and we'll get onto Jaina later
All
when we
of
get to part
all
two.
of the male next generation children have been rolled into a single character.
Exactly, the Yuzan Vong shit didn't have this can't be part of Legends. I know
Chewbacca is alive.
exactly, like I know what it's trying to do, and I know what its inspiration is, but you don't need to throw all of that stuff in because that stuff physically can't.
For now.
Well, I mean, it's not that it can't happen; it's just that it doesn't have any relevance to this. What relevance do you have from Mara Jade? There's no moment in this edit where Luke talks about having a wife or having children or anything to do with that. So it's just all superfluous. I remember seeing the trailer for this fan edit, and there's the shot of Princess Leia, what looks like she's at the Senate or something like that, and you think, oh, this is going to be like an actual scene, and it's not. It's like a quick 2-second shot, and it's
It
mostly
also
pointless.
really served no purpose in that
Yeah.
entire prologue.
So I was really let down by the prologue, and I guess the initial setup for the new story now with Rey, even that doesn't really get much of an explanation. That's kind of a problem I have when you've got both of them combined, is that if you know the editor's ideas and thoughts about what the backstory is with the character and how she's in this situation, then it helps. But if you are just watching it as a film, there's loads left on the cutting room floor that isn't explained, even with this new conceit of them being siblings. So in the prologue, we learn that Rey has been captured by bounty hunters, specifically Dengar, who captures Jaina Solo. For why, we don't know. Well, is a bounty hunter who wants Jaina Solo? We don't know. And then, not explained in the movie, this is just from J1C Peasant's comment that I had with the comment exchange I had with him on YouTube, was that for some inexplicable reason, Dengar just abandons young Rey on Jakku. We get no explanation as to why.
Nema the Hutt.
And sells her to Unkar Plutt. And why, we don't know. And then we learn that Han's been looking for his lost daughter, and also he lost a son. It's weird in later conversations when he's talking to Leia that they only keep talking about a son who's turned to the dark side. There's never a moment that, oh, we lost a daughter as well. I know that you've got a limited amount of footage, and if you are trying to keep it somewhat of a mystery, well, no, he's not even keeping it a mystery, is he? Because the title of the edit's called Solo Twins.
Yeah,
it's
the
weird
whole
that
point
they
is you're
don't
watching
talk
it
about...
knowing that that's who these people are.
Yeah, it's a limitation of the footage, but it's just weird to me that characters don't talk about this shit. And that's kind of what I've been struck with when I've been trying to wrap my head around how I'd edit these, because I always wanted them to be brother and sister as well. But scenes with like Han and Leia, it's like, right, okay, well, how do they not know who she is? How does Rey not know who these people are? Even if she was taken away from them at a very young age, she'd still know who her parents... You have to kind of contend with all of that. I'd honestly say that the sequel trilogy... definitely up there in terms of the trickiest films to make work or to do anything with. It depends on the idea.
I have
suppose,
disproved
and what
that.
you have, but I mean, it depends how critical you are of the initial trilogy to begin with. We famously, or I don't even say famously, completely disagree on The Last Jedi. You love it.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking hate it and think it absolutely ruined the franchise and divided the fan base clean in two. But so right from the off there, like you are quite readily accepting of The Last Jedi and I'm not. So I would cut out huge swathes of that film because I just think it fundamentally doesn't work. And you'd be like, no, I'd quite happily leave it and I just want to tweak episode 9 or whatever it happens to be. But yeah, yeah. But originality, I think we're going to do all 5 categories for each part. So if we're talking about part 1, originality, The only original part really is the flashes of Rey and Kylo's being siblings. Really, I think that's the only thing. I think a lot of stuff is lifted from other edits, so I can't say it's completely original. The majority of stuff comes in part two, which is the stuff that I'll more favorably talk about. But in terms of originality, it's fine. They've, he's added in a prologue sequence, which I didn't think really worked, so that's kind of a mark against it. But then the flashes throughout do kind of help cement that relationship between Rey and Kylo. I think most of the other stuff is either taken from Force Awakens. Is it called reordered, reimagined,
Restructured.
restructured? I think a lot's taken from that HAL 9000's edit, and then you mentioned a couple of other bits. There are some scenes that I actually really wish he had have lifted from other Force Awakens edits. We mentioned this before we went live, but the scene, I can't remember which edit does it, where Rey is on Jakku and she puts the helmet on when she sat outside of the AT-AT, and an edit kind of has her daydreaming and seeing a vision of Luke's island and the waves. Sort of, it's wonderful how they've edited it, and I think it's just like an opacity overlay, but the sand dunes just kind of turn into the water, and I've always loved that and thought that was a really inspired change.
Yeah, no, that was. I think that was in an earlier version of the Starlight edit of Neverars,
Mm-hmm.
which is in itself, I think, an edit of Hal's edit. Uh, yeah, no. I mean, so regarding like the new story, the idea itself is basically ripped right out of Legends,
Mm-hmm.
but the implementation of it is original.
Yeah. I actually
You know,
don't know if any other edits before this have made them siblings, or if they've just kind of.
none that I've seen.
Yeah, so I guess in that respect, it is pretty original, but it depends of how you're ranking it, because huge masses of this are just kind of like taken from other edits themselves.
Other edits, well, yeah. So I have notes of like I knowing what I know about other edits. I have a list of things in complexity that had I not known about them, probably would have ended up in originality.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking at here. I don't know if me sort of coming down on it in terms of originality, if that will fit more into complexity of the edit itself rather
Well, let
than
me.
originality.
I'll go. So, are we just talking about the originality of part one, or are we talking about the originality of both?
I think we're doing both, aren't we? Like
Okay,
both.
just making sure. I'm glad that we are, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So the voiceover is added to Poe's interrogation when you like hear the memories and you hear Leia. Um,
That's used
I
in another edit. I've seen that in another edit before.
oh
Yeah,
have you? Okay, I have.
yeah.
I actually
I
I
think it's
haven't
in
seen that.
restructured.
Oh really? Okay, I haven't seen that recently. Um, all right. In that case, well, I would just say that being there also kind of means you could remove the entire village scene.
It sets up a little bit for Finn, I suppose, but I mean, you could still have him come into it later.
True. Um, well, you could remove at least Poe's part of the village scene then.
Well, I've always had a problem the fact that Kylo Ren can seemingly interrogate anyone at will. Like, he doesn't need that chair to do it. Just interrogate Lawson Tacker, because he's right there. You've got Max von Sydow. Just interrogate him while you've got him there.
I love
Um,
Posey though.
and then Poe just kind of shows up on a whim, like that wasn't planned. Like, why not take Lawson Tacker on board and interrogate, or just interrogate him there in the desert? So I guess removing the village scene would get rid of a few of those plot holes at least. But yeah, it is what it is. It's still fundamentally The Force Awakens. So if you're not a fan of Force Awakens like I'm not, it's still kind of the same movie.
Also, so jumping quite a bit ahead in the originality thing, and also this also isn't wholly original, but despite the audio being ripped from the Fixing Disney Star Wars trailer, uh, there's a line about Kylo and Rey and Han by Kylo about Rey and Han in Rey's vision in Takodana, and its use here is original, to my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to hear what Fixing Disney Star Wars think about this.
I wondered that. Yeah, I actually checked their channel not too long ago, and I sent you the comment they've been sending
I
everyone.
saw.
Yeah, I don't know how much money they've had from people so far since the inception of their project. I want to say it's quite a lot, if all the VFX are to be believed and everything they've put into it. But I don't think that project's going to see the light of day. I think this is like Joker Blog's season 2 or season 3 or whatever it was.
I think it's season 3,
where it just like died on its ass and they had a lot of money. Yeah, most changes seemed really pointless as well. You guys wanted to see a lightsaber fight between Kylo Ren and Luke? Even me. I hate The Last Jedi. That ain't a problem that I have with that film.
No. Here's what I have to say about that. That is not a problem I have with the film, but even I admit, like, that should have been done by fans by now.
Yeah.
Like, of course, just look at it. Like, it's begging to be made.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Fixing Disney Star Wars have a subscribe star and they watermark their edits.
Well, also I think I read that they've shut down their subscribe star.
Good.
People can't sign up to it at the moment. So, yeah.
Anyway, speaking of that, the vision with the Disney Star Wars line, it replaces the footage of what. Okay, I was just making sure my computer didn't die. We still here?
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
All right.
Yeah.
They replaced the footage of Rey as a kid with the fan film of Rey as a kid, but they kept the audio.
Mm-hmm.
And the lip syncing was done pretty well. Just saying.
There is a line there that the Fixing Disney Star Wars one where it's like, you think that Han Solo could love you as a daughter. He has one. That's a weird line in the context of if you're trying to wonder how much Kylo Ren already knows that Rey is his sister. Because I asked you that question before we went live. At which point do you think he finds out? And you said when that like captain or admiral comes to report to him, and he's like, "What girl?" and he force chokes him. You think he knew there? I think he was suspicious maybe of who it might be, but I don't think it was until the interrogation. But even still, saying that line, he has one. That's a weird line to throw in if you go in with the idea that Kylo Ren already knew that it was his sister.
He just wanted to get across as much as he could that Han and Leia have had a daughter.
It also doesn't make much sense for character motivation as well.
Or AI.
Why would Kylo keep that information from her? Like, you think that could have been a huge moment in their like forest fight, or at any point, or during the interrogation, or anything. Why would he withhold that information until that point? It's the limitations that you have to work with the edit, I guess. But when you like really boil it down to the character's motivations, it doesn't make a whole lick of sense, really. That kind of goes with Leia and Han as well. Like if Leia always knew, which we kind of get that line from Luke in Part 2 where he says Leia knew it too, or whatever he said.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if she knew, why wouldn't she tell Han? Because that's like a horrible fucking thing to do, that he gave up his entire life.
No.
And went searching
there is an excuse for that in this edit.
What's that? Oh, like the hug at the end you're talking about that she doesn't know until then?
Like that is like you are literally witnessing Leia remembering that like who Rey is.
Even still, you think there would be like a big moment, like where the two of them pull away from each other, having both felt what they just felt, and then an explanation from Leia. That would be nice, like a big pivotal moment, and then just straight away,
it cuts away.
She's sending her packing off to go and see Luke, and it's like, oh, okay. But I guess I'd rather have this than what we get in the movie. I think it makes I like it being like a family tied together thing. You know, George Lucas always said that the prequels were about the father, the original trilogy was about the son, and then the sequel trilogy was going to be about the grandchildren. I really like that. And I do think it works, even in the context of this edit. I think it works better with them being siblings, especially this is jumping ahead to part 2. But when we get the false connection scenes, I think it works so much better when you get that revelation in there. But okay, for part 1, if I'm going to give it a score out of 10 for originality, am I taking out the idea that it's a lot of other edits compiled into one, and I'm just looking at it in terms of the plot? Is that what I'm
On
reviewing this on?
originality?
Yeah.
Oh wait, are you I would combine the two for the score.
Because I don't know what I can combine in complexity and what I can save for originality. Because I feel like complexity of the project
Oh
is
no! I mean, like I mean, I would combine parts 1 and 2 for scoring original for scoring for each score.
Oh, okay. So this is for both parts 1 and 2 together, yeah?
Yeah,
Originality.
I mean, do we want to talk more about 2 then?
Well, that's yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what. We'll talk through. I'll talk a bit of like invisibility. We'll talk about all the 5 criteria in part 1. We'll do the same for part 2, and then we'll give our scores and combine them at the end. If that sounds good with you.
Sounds good to you.
Yeah, rather than doing like 5 for part 1 and then 5 for part 2, we'll just kind of rattle through it.
Also, I'm
Invisibility.
pretty sure the Phasma getting some Battlefront lines were original.
I can't remember what the lines are. I know that in Restructured she gets some during that scene where Chewie tackles her.
Okay. Are you
Um,
sure it was Restructured you watched? Because I remember Restructured being rather. You know what? It's been a while since I watched just the version I have might be an old one.
Restructured has some lines, and there's actually a bit where I think actually here Peasant has changed it a little bit. It is definitely based on Restructured. I think he reorders a lot of the scenes, especially towards that bit where Phasma lowers the shields. There's the deleted scene in there of Kylo going outside with like the snow troopers into the Millennium Falcon, which has been used in stuff like Restructured. But I think even from that, he's restructured it again. I don't remember which edit's done the thing where Kylo Ren looks up at the sky and sees the shield, like the plasma laser of the shield, come down. Every other edit I've seen is just where the X-wings are flying in to attack the base, but this actually shows the
that
shield.
feels new.
You've got the siren. It feels much more climactic in that moment of Rey having to quickly escape right as the TIE fighters are going to come flying out. You've got like the siren on Starkiller Base, and it makes that whole sequence much more urgent and much more. And I really like that deleted scene too with Kylo Ren. It's a nice little bit of character development. So I like that moment. In terms of invisibility and stuff, it was really just that the prologue stuck out to me like a sore thumb, and I really just kind of wish that wasn't in there. Everything else, it runs pretty smoothly, but again, I don't know how much credit I can give, at least for part 1, I can give to Peasant, because a lot of it is taken from other edits themselves. So, but it worked for the most part for me, definitely. Part 1, I think in terms of editing, part 1 in terms of invisibility is a lot stronger than part 2. I noticed a lot more discrepancies with the editing, but it kind of goes to say because part 2 is a lot more of a complex edit than part 1, at least. Necessity, I actually think that's pretty up there, because the whole idea is the whole Snoke thing. That's the thing that
let's talk about necessity at the very end of after talking both about. Let's move because I feel like that's gonna be that's always got to be talked about with both of them.
Resi Nessie says buffering. Is that
bloody hell?
As the stream kind of like fucked, or?
God damn it, Devin.
Are we working fine?
Hang on. Let's always gotta be safe. Bloody fucking hell. Today is the day we find out if what's the StreamYard?
Yeah.
Is here to stay.
Carl's still in the comments. He said he's had no issues at all. He says we're still all good.
Oh, yeah, no, it looks fine to me.
Excellent. Okay, we will continue. So yeah, I guess fundamentally,
Damn it,
if
Kevin.
I'm recommending this edit, part one, I mean, you kind of have to watch part one and two together. That kind of goes without saying. Both edits were themselves released at the same time. I thought he might pace the releases out a little bit and keep you anticipating that Snoke one. So I was actually really glad when he just he released both of them at the same time. Part one fundamentally is a slightly tweaked Force Awakens, but inherently you're getting the same product. So if you had beef with the Rathtar scene and Starkiller Base being a thing and it being a hopeless retread of Episode 4, you're still getting exactly the same film fundamentally. But it's you have to work with what you've got, and you can only do so much. So considering he's done that and he's trying to twist it into his new story idea for the siblings, I guess it's fine. But I still hate Episode 7, so watching this, I'd still be like, yeah, I still don't like a lot of things of this film. But yeah, that's part one, I guess, for me.
Yeah, movie wise, I just want to throw out. He includes both in actually this is both part 1 and 2. He includes a portion of a deleted scene in the opening scenes that, in my opinion, offer nothing.
Oh, the attack on the village scene.
You got the attack on the village scene, and also you've got the part where Poe decides to get in an X-wing at the start of part 2.
Mm-hmm.
I figured I'd mention both because it was consistent in both of them, which I thought was weird.
I actually like it. The one that you're referring to in part 2 is that where Finn wakes up and he's like, "You destroyed Starkiller Base. Rey won. Why
No,
does this
no, no,
not
no.
feel like winning?"
When Poe is on on like an actual Skype call with
Yeah, yeah. I know which bit you're talking about. Sorry. Yeah, when they're
yeah,
evacuating the base.
exactly.
Yeah.
I,
I will say I don't know where he got the quality of those deleted scenes, but the village one looked great. I kind of agree with you. I do think it's a little bit pointless because I still think you get
he's
that
about to do that
you get that same
much
moment anyway
more,
when the entire village is gunned down. So
and
it is
he
a bit of a
doesn't do
retread
that.
with
Yeah,
that. But in
exactly.
terms of how it's spliced in and the audio and the picture quality and everything, it really fit in with the rest of it. I thought. I guess it was neat to see it actually put into it because I actually don't think I've seen a Star Wars sequel trilogy fan edit that's put that scene in. I've seen ones that have incorporated deleted scenes, obviously, but no one ever seems to incorporate that one, which probably says something about that scene. But
Yeah,
also, I guess it was nice to see it in the full context of the film,
sure. I
an
mean, it's
extended edition, if you will.
exactly. Um, Also, considering that he's the you see the image of the island in Ray's house, I was disappointed that we didn't see. I mean, you talked about it earlier. The ocean on the island on the sand.
Yeah, I thought that they were queuing up for that, and it might be in restructured again that I've seen, but there's many
It was in
more
Nevs.
flashes to the island throughout the edit. Ray's just kind of has it right before the interrogation scene, I think, with Kylo actually. She has visions of the island, and then she snaps out of it, and then he's like, "Where am I?" So even in that respect, I guess with this edit, he's replaced that with the whole sibling thing, which probably makes more sense. But the whole I've seen edits before where Rey seeing visions of the island is much more of a recurring thing, which then I guess gives that line in the Last Jedi a bit more gravity to it when she says that, you've seen this place, you've seen this island, only in dreams. So yeah, Carl has a comment. I don't know if you want to read this one. I agree, Carl.
It still blows my mind. Disney spent $4 billion and then didn't put a plan in for a consistent. How did they think that was a good idea? I mean, it was honestly, it wasn't a lack of a plan. It was a lack of a commitment to a plan.
But it was also a lack of a plan.
Not really, because everybody complains that Disney didn't have this intricate, detailed, step-by-step plan for creating this new trilogy, and it's like that's not how you make movies. However, I think a greater plan should have been consistently followed. One that I think was put into place and can be arguably quote unquote proven without confirmation. You can never prove anything, but if you look at the Duel of the Fates script with the novelizations of Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, you see a beginning, middle, and end.
I disagree. I think if you're going in with the idea, which these were, that we're making a trilogy, you need some kind of plan. Now, before, yeah, George Lucas was, penning 1, 2, and 3 separately, but it was still the same guy. It was still the same man, mastermind, sort of overseeing all of those films. And yeah, you might argue there's some discrepancies here and there, but ultimately he knew where it was leading to, and you did have one mind behind it. This one, you didn't have that same kind of overseer on all of them. And even if you count Kathleen Kennedy as that, she didn't really have any saying the story. It was more sort of like pointing fingers, like hire that guy, do this, do that. But I think if you're going in with a trilogy, you do need some kind of overall plan, and they just really didn't have that. Look at the Lord of the Rings trilogy. All 3 of those were being filmed at the same time. Yeah, tweaks were being made to the script here and there, and story ideas were changing, but fundamentally, they had the groundwork, they had a plan, they knew what they're doing. And even if you look at other trilogies, most of the time, they'll make a first one, which will get wildly successful. Look at The Matrix, for example. Matrix 1 comes out, and that was written to be a one and done. That they didn't have a trilogy in mind with that. It was only Warner Brothers going, hey, this was really successful, we should think about doing a trilogy for this. And then usually you get 2 and 3 that are written at the same time or filmed back to back. You had that with Back to the Future as well. They made the first one, and then 2 and 3 were shot back to back. So you tend to get that more with trilogies, and even then, I would have taken that more than just having no plan at all. But you can see it in the trilogy. What we got, it's just this constant tug of war between creatives, and ultimately, it just characters don't have any arc because they didn't have an arc. One director wants to do one thing in the mystery box and keep the identity a secret. Then someone comes in and just kicks over the story box and says, "I'm going to do my own thing," and nothing. She's no one, and then someone's picking up the pieces and just saying, trying to stick them all back together and go, fuck it, she's a Palpatine. And it just makes all the characters shit because none of them have a growth, none of them have a journey. So I agree. So this one's a little bit more cohesive in that, I guess, in that it has taken 3 films down to 2.
To argue against the whole, like you cited the original, the prequels as like, they have their flaws, but they were done by one person with a singular vision. And one, singular vision is a very strong word or strong phrase, but 2, I would cite against that the original trilogy.
Yeah, but you still had George Lucas on writing the story for all of them. That's what I mean. And I knew you were going to go to that because everyone goes to that. Everyone says, well, the original trilogy had 3 different directors and everything like that. Yeah, it did. But you still had George Lucas at the background of all of that, writing the story for each one of those films. You didn't have that with this one.
I mean, no, but again, I still stand by that that you have a story being told one to the other if you actually like look at what was supposed to be that trilogy.
You do, but again, you have George Lucas do the story. This one, you had what?
No. I'm talking about the sequels.
Abrams and Kasdan doing the first one. Ryan Johnson taking sole writing credit on the second one, and then JJ and who was it? That awful writer who did Dawn of Chris.
I don't remember.
Terry.
Chris Monterio.
Something like that, yeah. How does that guy still get work in Hollywood?
I have no idea. Connections, friends. But no, I'm referring to the script written by Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly.
Okay.
I'm specifically saying that you do have like everybody's like, oh, there was no, like, they said there was a meeting, but there was no meeting. And I was like, I think the meeting was, I'm gonna kill Luke, I'm gonna kill Han, I'm gonna kill Leia. And
I think I don't blame I blame Ryan Johnson for a lot of stuff, but to me the trilogy was fucked from part 1. A lot of people said, there was so many things that it could have gone. We had so much hope. Ultimately, it was J.J. Abrams that decided that Luke is a hermit. He's taken himself out of the fight and he's not helping his fucking sister or his family. So that fucks him. He was the one who demoted Han from a fucking war general to a smuggler again, a shell of who he was. It was him that broke up Leia and Han. It was him who chose to not have any of the original trilogy cast all together on screen together. It was he who decided that R2-D2 would be in a fucking coma since the day that Luke left. It was I blame JJ for pretty much everything. Like I hate a lot of the decisions that Rian Johnson made, but with some of the things, it just felt like he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. He didn't have a reason as to why Luke was on that island. He had to come up with a reason as to why he was there. That wasn't even a plan. Luke was used as a MacGuffin in that first movie as a bit of intrigue for the fucking mystery box, for the treasure map, and it literally ends on a cliffhanger. JJ didn't know what he wanted to do with Luke. Like the original idea was he was going to be swirling boulders around himself using the Force, and that was it.
And like,
that doesn't line up with anything that Rian Johnson's doing, or even with the story. Because if Luke can still use the Force, why wouldn't he have joined the fight? So Luke disconnecting himself from the Force makes sense. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. But in terms of a decision for what you presented in part one, that was the only decision that you can make.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of my
quite right. Yeah, no, so wait, so are you actually agreeing that in a way, The Last Jedi is actually the ideal sequel to The Force Awakens?
In some respects, I don't agree with splitting the party up completely. I think Finn is completely fucking wasted in that second film, and that they were actually setting up a really cool dynamic. I thought he and Daisy had really great chemistry together, and I think it was a damn shame to just take him out of the equation and throw like a new possible romantic interest in with Rose, and I never felt like they had any chemistry.
The party was split at the end of the previous movie as well.
Well, yeah, but then you have a third. Well, they weren't really together in part one, really. The entire party all together.
Oh well, yeah, because
they're not together at all in the second one, and then in the third one, JJ's trying to convince you that all these three have like this amazing camaraderie and connection with each other and friendship, and we just haven't seen that across the entire trilogy. So you have them all over each other and squabbling and bickering.
You literally have Finn and not Finn, Poe and Rey meeting for the first time
at the end of the
Last Jedi.
Yeah. And originally we were going to get a love story between those two. Like,
yeah, no, I don't. That was I don't love that. I don't like that for.
And Kylo doesn't really get anything in that script either. He just gets disfigured, and I guess they're trying to do a Vader thing, how he gets mangled.
Watch Spark. I basically do the same thing with Kylo that's done there.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's you know how he says in Force Awakens he'll finish what Vader started.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that. It's that taken to the next level, where it's like, I'm going to succeed where you failed.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, that is what he's based his personality off of.
Yeah.
Because he's a scene kid from the 90s.
I guess we could talk about part 2 a little bit now then, if you want to.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
If you want to kick it off, because I've been doing a lot of talking, so let's get your input.
Yeah, well, first off, in the originality, I don't think anybody else has done that. Snap Wexley is part of the defense of the Dakar.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
I love that.
Well, it just helps glue them together a little bit more, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
In that
definitely.
Rian Johnson just completely forgot about most of the faction of the X-Wing pilots, and then JJ called.
I think it was more just actually. I think this is more a product of them coming back in Episode 9 because
it's a JJ thing. He's used them in projects before.
Exactly. Yeah, you see what I'm saying. You can also tell that some of the shots of Hux looking at the fleet have been replaced. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming it's to make him look less exhausted.
Yeah, you can really see.
Or maybe it's to replace to like smooth the removal of some of the Poe stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so they're looking for Vader's holocron.
Yeah, that didn't really make much sense to me either. I know that
is that the Wayfinder.
That's the Wayfinder, yeah. But they never again refer to it as a holocron.
No, they don't. They do
So they
not at
should have
all.
said we're looking for Vader's Wayfinder or something. If you're going to keep it consistent, yeah, that scene was weird, and it's just an excuse to have that Kylo Ren versus Vader fan film, which looks really fucking good, and projects have used it many times,
I did.
and found a way to
Spark
make
does.
it exactly because from what you've just told me from Kylo Ren, that makes sense with his character overcoming that shadow of Vader and wanting to become what Vader wasn't and overthrowing him. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Although
In this
Vader
edit,
wins
it's totally
in
pointless.
the script.
Yeah. There's other bits in this. This is where, I mean, originality for me. I keep harking on it, but it's Snoke on Exegol. That is super original to me. I haven't seen another
Well,
edit
wait.
that's
Before we get to
done that.
Snoke on Exegol, let's get to Snoke in his what was originally Snoke in his throne room, where
Ah,
he's a hologram.
yeah. Um,
That I mean, it was brilliant. It was really cool. It was really well done. You know, but it has some jump cuts. I think those are meant to be glitches in the hologram. You know, the lips don't always sync.
they really don't
Sometimes they
think.
don't even move.
Yep.
Uh, yeah. Also, for a lot of it, Snoke and Kylo are facing the same side of the screen,
hmm
so it makes their conversation feel really awkward.
Is that like the 180-degree rule you're talking about
Yeah.
between the two of them? Yeah, yeah. I mean, for context, people that are watching that haven't seen the edit, it's the scene. It's Snoke and Kylo's first scene in the Last Jedi, I think, where it's take that ridiculous thing off. When I saw you, I live what all masters live to see, or whatever it is, whatever he says. It's that scene. It's that beat in the story, but he's using again the footage he's already used from the Force Awakens hologram scenes with Snoke, and he's just pretty much using that footage again. He's darkened the image, and actually, was this just meant to be on the ship again? Was this meant to just be on like
On the
Kylo's
ship this
Dark Tour?
time, not on the ship again, because it was on Starkiller Base before.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is just another room in the Star Destroyer that he's gone to. You did need a beat there with Snoke, definitely, because without that, you just get Snoke at the end, and that'd be a bit weird. But
Yeah.
again, it's you can't use any of the footage. I actually wondered if he could use something from that first meeting with him and the Last Jedi.
Also, why are there guards in the hologram room?
You only see them in one shot, I think,
Mm-hmm.
don't you? And it's
They're
like,
in
well,
black.
you could have just darkened the image over that bit as well, and just had it be an empty room.
Yeah, I really don't know why they're there. Actually,
Yeah, no, I agree. There were a couple of jump cuts and stuff with Luke on the island, which I really didn't like. Because I'm the Hobbit fan editor, of course, I've got to mention a scene that does something very similar in the Hobbit film. And this isn't my edit either. This was actually in the original film. How two characters are having a conversation, and then there's a cut, and then a scene right after it that's taking place minutes, potentially hours after, but they're continuing the same conversation they had in that previous scene. The scene that comes to mind in Desolation of Smaug is where you've got the Master of Lake Town and Alfred in his bedchamber, and it is my belief, sire, that they are being led on by troublemakers. Cut. And then the next scene is the Master of Lake Town, fully clothed, fully dressed, coming down the stairs. Is clearly taking place, much longer after that previous scene. And he's like, then we must find these troublemakers and arrest them. It's the same conversation.
well, I'm
but
assuming that there's
it's
more
taking place
being
in Asia.
said between them. It's just that it wasn't as important.
And there was a scene in this edit in part 2, which does something similar with Luke. And it's the scene where Ray's, it's lesson
Editing.
1, I think. It's lesson 1, I think it is. She's sat on the stone.
Oh yeah,
and
I know what you're gonna get at here.
Yeah, and he does like the whole Force conversation. She's like, life, death, darkness, light, and she's like balance, and then it just cuts to a much later conversation with Luke, where it's like, in the beginning there was balance, but then I saw my nephew. It's that like sunset conversation. Fucking hours have passed because it was the morning just a second ago, and now it's sunset. Like, what the fuck?
It was cool that you added the saber training before lesson 1.
Yes, yeah, that was a cool change. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there was a sequence where at the end of the when he does like the when Snoke says the first found you part, and he shows like a young
Oh,
Ben
yeah,
having nightmares.
that was weird. I thought that was kind of pointless.
Yeah, was that so? The person sitting over Ben while he's asleep, is that Leia or is that
Leia, yeah, I thought that was
Snoke?
Leia.
Okay, I thought it was Snoke at first, then I thought it was Leia, and I was very confused.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Leia. I I didn't like that change. I thought that was just kind of pointless and just made me confused more than anything. Again, because we don't get much explanation about these extra shots that are thrown in. You have to kind of just like connect the dots yourself a little bit, and not in an
Also, good
intriguing
removal of
puzzle
Leia
kind of
getting
way.
blown out to space.
Say that again. Sorry.
Good removal of Leia getting blown out into space.
Agreed. I do still think it's kind of pointless in the grand scheme of the edit because the next time that we see, well, I mean, you have the. I guess it works for the bit where Luke finds out that Rey is his niece, because he has
Yeah,
that connection with
that's
Leia
funny.
there and finds that out. But then you just have Leia up and at him again for Crate, and then Leia dies again in that same film. So it's like if you're combining 8 and 9 into one, which this does, you have Leia getting shot at and in a coma, and then just she's back on her feet, and then she dies again later in the film. So they kind of tease her death twice in this edit,
Yeah.
which I thought is kind of pointless. So if you're going to remove the Leia flying through space scene, I'd say just remove that whole part where Kylo takes a pot shot at the cockpit itself, and just pick the Crate stuff up later on in the movie.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
Because you
I
have
think
Leia on
some
the
other
escape.
shots could be repurposed.
Yeah, I mean, you have Leia on the escape pod with Poe anyway later on in the edit. So if you did want some more in between scenes of Leia, there's footage you can use. But yeah, that was just a little aside. But yeah, if you're looking at the scene, yeah, it's a much better removal of that scene, definitely. The scene that I really enjoyed in part 2 actually is the revelation scene with Kylo Ren being the brother. And then I think they follow it right up with the scene where they touch fingertips, and that scene just with that new context just gives it much more gravitas in that moment. And then the Force theme kicks in, and that
All the
aspect,
dialogue is removed because
yeah,
it's probably
which is
making it
much
a little
better.
less romantic.
You have I will say as well, like the whole like cave sequence. They get rid of all like the multiple clones of Rey, which I think was a good choice because that's just weird. And you actually get a parent reveal. She says, "Let me see my parents, please." She touches the mirror. You have two silhouettes that merge into one, and then you see Leia and Han. And I thought, oh, okay, that gave me what I was hoping to see originally when I went to see The Last Jedi, which is good. But there's no setup for the actual cave itself. By removing that scene where she kind of freaks out during lesson 1, and she says, "There's something else on the island. It's a dark place," and he's like, "Resist it,
Yeah,
Rey."
for when
The
she's
dark
walking
side
up to it.
cave hole is just set up at that point where it's necessary. It's just needed. I think you
Yeah,
could have probably have kept that part where she freaks out, and they are still
but
kind of
then you
doing the
don't
moment.
cut to the balance hours later.
I mean, you could still have Luke freaking out. I mean, he says, even if you're removing the whole fact that he doesn't want to train Rey initially, or he wants the Jedi to die. All of that stuff's removed, which is absolutely fine. But you can still have him freaking out, going, "I've seen this kind of strength before. It didn't scare me then. It does now." You could still have that moment and then just pick it up in the next scene where he's talking about there used to be balance and then this really bad shit happened, which should still follow on from that previous scene, I think. And it would also give you
True.
setup for that cave. I don't know.
But then
Maybe
you
that's just
don't
me.
have that hour. You don't have that. That was all removed because he realized he could do that cut. You realize that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you were going to do that, color correct the lesson 1 to a sunset time.
Good point.
I mean, that's what I would. If you are going to combine them in that way, there's no Rey deleted scene going after the caretakers because it just kind of
Oh yeah.
it's more of those moments that make you know, Luke really defeatist and the Jedi must end and everything like that. All of that's pretty much been removed. We don't really get the reason as to why Luke has marooned himself on this island. He says, "Do you think I came to this island for no reason at all?" And I think in the text, it's like Luke's gone to try and use the Force to find a way to save his nephew from the dark side and something else, right? Or to find his niece. You really don't get a sense of that because he's really not doing anything on this island. Um, so yeah, I know you're using the footage that you've got available, but even still, it doesn't really make much sense as to why Luke's here and he's not really getting stuck in with the fight.
I mean, yeah, no. So that's clear limitation of the footage. I want to point out that I when Luke says you need a teacher to Rey, and he just kind of looks away. I didn't get that he wasn't going to teach her,
Mm-hmm.
and then he needed to tell her later that he was.
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought that was yeah, because it cuts right after he says you need a teacher, doesn't it? In this,
Yeah, but he also turns around, so I guess maybe that's the rejection.
I don't know. I saw it as like you need a teacher. Let's get to it, kind of thing. Like
That's what I thought at
that's
first,
what I got.
but he doesn't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he could have looked away and been like, "You need a teacher, 3 lessons."
What did you think to the placement of the Luke mourning Han scene? Because it's not placed
Weird.
after he learns of Han, is it?
No, it's just there. It's just there. Is it? Does he recognize Rey?
No, because he's shocked when he finds out later in the edit who it is.
Yeah, you're right. And he's just stolen the lightsaber.
So I guess
Frick.
he's just sad about what happened with Kylo still, and he's just really upset about that.
I yeah, he's really upset that somebody has bothered him.
Because that being said, I did go and watch the compilation of the deleted scenes from The Last Jedi, and I think they do actually splice that into the movie, so you can kind of see where it would have been. And I think this 21C Peasant actually edited it in the same way that is edited in the TLJ deleted scenes compilation. But it just makes no sense because I thought it was a
Not
scene where
really.
he's yeah, because he's in his robes and then he walks off and he seals himself in the hut and then you see him fold in his robe. So that's a continuation. It's
That's
like
from later.
Um,
That
but then yeah,
that was
it's
from
just,
his next scene.
yeah,
After his first scene.
the emotional scene with Han just it works so much better after he where's Han. Then you cut to that scene where he's emotional, but
Or cut to him on the Falcon.
yeah, that's a great shout. That works too.
Yeah. People are like, oh, there's no scene of him mourning Han. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
He takes the dice. He thinks about his friend.
mm-hmm. That's a good shout. Actually, I never even thought of that. Yeah, that'd be a good placement for that scene. What else? Oh, there's a bit of a time jump with this one. Because you're combining.
Oh God, wait. Before we get to that, let me just like double check.
Oh yeah,
okay,
go on, sorry.
so
yeah.
during the during the first flashback to Kylo turning, it combines it with the third one, so we get Luke looking in his head, and we see that like Snoke has been chipping it away at Ben since childhood, like that. That's cool.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, Kylo tells Rey he saw her parents during the vision.
I still don't get how a Jedi/Sith would just go, he must have thought I was dead. Like, you can't sense that your master is still alive.
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I really don't know.
We'll check for a body at least,
I don't even know what the rules are anymore.
Me too. No Admiral Holdo, I think that goes without saying. There's no
there was no Holdo dialogue
demoted. No Canto Bite.
Oh yes,
all that's gone.
Oh, Finn Skid. What? Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, fucking finally. So Finn's skid speeder, it's shot by a walker.
Yeah,
Everybody does a TIE fighter for some reason.
much better with a walker, right? Because Ray drew all
The
the TIE
TIE
fighters
fighters
off.
flew away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who'd have
What the
thought it?
hell, guys? I blame
Yeah.
Ivan.
Although that being said, you still see the person in the cockpit, right, shooting the thing, and isn't he dressed like a TIE fighter pilot?
He doesn't show the shooter. He just shows the
Oh, he
shooting.
doesn't. Sorry, yeah, no, I'm thinking of other edits. Okay, yeah,
Because
yeah,
other
no.
edits just show the shooter and not a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is like something that should have been done a while ago.
I mean, did that AT-AT take the initiative in that scene and just do it? Did Kylo Ren give the order?
I was assuming other ones were also trying to hit it. I don't know.
Is it like the old guy from Two Towers who accidentally lets the arrow into the Urukai before everyone else?
What I think it is I think it's the one on the far side because he's too close for any of the ones nearby to actually hit.
Yeah. There's no Rose, which is great. I mean, Rose shows up like once, I think, in the edit. It's just so much better.
Oh yeah,
You
okay.
still have
So
like the same thing with. I've never understood like the whole Luke thing. Like Luke fucking dies, and then the dice don't disappear until after. I don't know if you're meant to infer that. Okay,
no,
Luke
we've talked
died
about
at that
this.
same point that the dice disappeared,
Yeah,
and
I
they,
think
they, they
that's
just
when
kind of
that
play with the
happens.
time a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm
That-
pretty sure Luke dies simultaneously as the dice disappearing.
yeah, and then you get your 1 year time jump, which is really awkward and clunky.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't think it is necessary. I think it could have been done that like I think it could have been done like without it and still felt like it probably would have felt a little clunky transitioning, but it would have been better than 1 year later.
Yeah. I guess like a little bit of insight into the project that I've been working on. So I'm kind of using a lot of different sources similar to how this edit did, but I'm using part two as a lot of source at the minute. But how I've done that bit is you have Kylo pick up the dice and he holds it in his hand, and then you crossfade into him traveling to Exegol.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Because like he's looked at Rey,
I
she's
would still
escaped,
do
and then
more.
I mean, it's a continuation of the scene. It's not a hard cut to black and then a text screen that says, "Do you know what it reminds me of? Did you ever see the piece of shit Josh Trank Fant Four Stick film?
I did not, thankfully.
There's because they completely like chopped
No,
and
yeah,
changed
no,
that
I know what
film.
you're talking about. Actually,
There's a 1 year jump in that as well, and then like an awkward compilation of all the footage that was cut during the middle of that part in like a weird montage. Bless you.
They call me Three Sneeze.
So yeah, the transition's awkward. Yeah, I know that if you did have it all contained in one film, certain characters have different appearances. Finn's hair is a lot more fuller and styled differently in The Rise of Skywalker compared to how it is in Force Awakens: Last Jedi. Like, I get it. Rey's, could you even say, is more powerful because we see her floating with rocks. There's elements like that. So it would still be awkward, but anything that just has like a clunky time jump in there, if it's not done well, it's a little bit awkward. But a lot of Rise of Skywalker is just totally cut out the movie, and you know what?
Oh yeah,
I don't miss it at all, and it just goes to show what an absolute.
It was a great idea removing like the whole middle portion, having Luke's
Yep.
trail have been uncold at the Death Star ruins.
Yeah, all of the pointless side quest things. It's like, oh, we need this. Oh, but before we get this, we need the dagger. And before we get the dagger, we need to how to read the dagger. And before we can read the dagger, we've got to go to this place that can translate it. All of that shit's just gone. So Pasana's gone. He still keeps the Kijimi destruction in with the Star Destroyer, which I thought was pointless and just really didn't need to be in there. Because, I mean, if you wanted that, then later on you have all the Star Destroyers that have planet-killing weapons. Yes, like you still have that moment, which is terrible and I hate it, but you've got it in dialogue. And you've got no setup for Kijimi. At least in the original Star Wars with Alderaan, you have some setup that it's Princess Leia's homeworld. Yeah, we don't go to Alderaan. Yeah, we don't see Alderaan, but you still get that character beat and that personal tie with Princess Leia's character, a character who we really like at that point. With this one, it's just Star Destroyer shows up, Death Star cannon blows up Kijimi. It's like Kijimi is destroyed. It's like, okay,
Yeah, I
great.
don't know why.
It's weird.
I don't know why they did that.
But I like it how it's like we're going where Luke's trail went cold, boom, you just cut straight to the Death Star, and it just saves so much time, and it's it's quite an elegant cut, I think, that one.
Yeah. Also, invisibility wise, that remember the fan film with Vader and Kylo?
Yes, yeah.
The lines are really hit or miss.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Especially like Kylo's are just miss.
Yeah.
Also, I think the fight is a little slow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need to trim a couple of frames.
I forgot to mention when during the flashback when Luke is looking in Kylo's in Ben's mind, you can see Luke's lightsaber in Ben's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I've removed that. It's if you're gonna take from other people's edits, it's there. Why is the saber still there?
Yeah.
Also, how the hell did he get Rey to ask Luke, "Is he my brother?" It's actually very well done.
Oh, where Rey says, "Is he my brother?" No, that came across as clunky to me. It stuck out. I was going to say I like the line, but I'm going to have to use an AI generator for that.
Jaina.
It'll be something like she says "mother," and then she's going to have to find a part where she says like "bro."
Yeah, no, of course that's how that's how it was done.
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
Jaina. Leia
I'm
says.
I'm telling you, Leia just says Jaina.
Run it back, my dude.
I have
Jaina.
It's just, you're making it sound.
You
weird.
agreed with me at the time. You heard it. I sent it as a voice message. Scroll back, find that voice message.
No. I heard it through a recording from your phone off of my phone. But then I heard the actual thing. And
why would it need to be Jaina? Because she says Rey.
She says Jaina.
Even if it was Jaina, even if it was that, which it isn't, but let's say if it was, why does she need to say it like that? Leia says Rey loads in the films. Just get the A part of Rey, and you've got Jaina.
I'm assuming that's what he did.
Jaina. It's yeah. I don't think she says that anyway.
That's what was done.
Elements that I like.
Yes, mother. Mother. Instead of yes, master.
Yes,
that was good.
Sorry, you're chopping in and out a little bit now. You were fine, but you're cutting. You're lagging a little bit. Yeah, when Rey says to Leia like "Yes, mother," that works. And
Mother,
have we lost JX?
Oh, she lost the stream?
No, we haven't lost it, but I can count the pixels on your screen, and you're really lagging in and out.
Yeah, no, my connection is just done a major hiccup, and also seem to have lost the stream, or at least like the stream itself is buffering, and I'm mid-seas.
It's still going fine on my end, but yeah, your internet connection is just taking a nosedive. I'm not sure if you can run off data or if someone else is using the internet at your place.
It was going very well.
I mean, I could still hear you.
Hang on.
It's just cutting in and out a little bit. That's all.
Well, I just want to make sure that we are still like a good. Oh, yeah. No, I think we're coming back.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think we're good. Okay. I'm still but we're better than we were like 20 seconds ago.
Okay. Hopefully it comes back.
Where were we?
We were on part 2, and I was trying to think.
Yes, Mother, Palpatine. Oh yeah. Rey says I'm going to find him and destroy him. Using the same hymn, which you can hear.
Yeah.
Oh God!
There's a scene that's removed.
Am I gone? Is the whole thing dead?
Oh, dude, you've gone. Your mic is just
Bloody lovely.
really bad. Oh, hang on. Okay, I'm going to ask you this question. Hopefully the internet works for your response. He cuts a scene when she says like we're going to go and find Luke. They remove the scene of like the hero shot of all of them on the Falcon. It plays in the original cut. There's like this really triumphant music where they're going to fly off. They're all on the Falcon together. You get this lovely wide shot of Poe and Rey and Finn and 3PO and Chewbacca, and they're all there, and the music's really nice. And then Chewie goes like, "Ruh, ruh, ruh," and then Rey says, "It is," which is a clunky line. And I'm guessing he's just saying like, "This is really cool that we're all together," or something like that. She's like, "It is," and then they fly off. That scene was cut. You just now see the Falcon lift off and hit hyperspace in space. I don't know. I feel like at this point you may as well just keep the hero shot in. Lord knows you need to try and make these characters feel closer together than they actually are.
Yeah, but this one's really long. This one's 2.5 hours.
I guess so. And then another question I've got for you: when they crash land on Endor, I like how he moves the Ewok. I think another edit's done that. Maybe Ascendant, where they move the Ewok reaction to the Falcon flying.
Yeah, it's
over there before it crashes. I quite like that. What's her name? The black chick with the horses. I always forget what that character's name is.
Oh hell!
I know Zori Bliss is the one on Kijimi with the helmet, but I always forget what she's called. Is it Zana? Anyway, the black chick with the horses shows up, and she says, "He said you'd come. He said you were the last hope. We intercepted a transmission from him." Do we ever find out who him was?
Do you need to? Can you repeat that?
Sure. So Black Chick with horses shows up, and she says, "We intercepted a transmission. He said you'd come. He said you were the last hope." Who is she referring to?
Oh yeah, no, then Babu Frick.
Yeah, so obviously he's removed. Now, in an edit, I've wanted to change that to Lando. Lando said you would come. Lando says you're the only hope, which sets up for Lando, and then you get Lando at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And Billy D doesn't know where he is, what he's doing. He's high on pills. He's constipated.
Get out of here, Dewey. You don't want none of this shit.
He's constipated. He needs the bathroom. He needs his catheter changing.
Okay, so continuing. Anyway, I fear for my connection, so I feel like we need to pick up the pace.
Yeah, no, you're back now. You're all good.
So let's just get to where we've wanted to go for the past couple hours.
Sure.
Snoke on Exegol.
Yeah,
it is exactly what I thought it was going to be. It is 100% what I thought it was going to be.
Some shots look pretty good.
Actually, no. There are two shots I had no expectations to be there, and I was pleasantly surprised by their inclusion.
Stuff like
and that's where he shoots the hands up.
Yeah. What it looks like he's done is he's taken Palpatine's arms. He's cut the arms out of the shot, and he's stuck them on Snoke. So Snoke is doing sort of like when he just shoots the lightning up in the sky. He's still sat on the chair.
Nothing will stop.
Yeah, so you don't get like this glory. You don't get this glorious moment like the original cut with Palpatine. It's all very dramatic. In this one, you just have Snoke sitting there, and then these little arms come up like this. Like, again, the limitation, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. I thought it worked. I was watching this. I was like, you know what? He's done a really fucking good job with this. There were two shots that stuck out to me a little bit. Or one notably, and it's where Snoke stands up when he's shooting the lightning. I don't know if the cape was too far over the steps, but the positioning of his character didn't look right on the podium, on the plinth where he was stood up. And
Yeah,
then
I remember what you mean. Yeah, no, it was weird.
you get like the side profile when he's doing the lightning. The issue is that you only have so much footage you can use of Snoke, so the ending does feel,
Of course.
it feels like there needs to be more of a dramatic conversation between our characters at the end, and you really don't get that. And that's just a limitation of the footage. I feel like maybe he could have used more footage from TLJ, perhaps, or maybe some more dialogue from Snoke here and there. Yeah, maybe removing the previous scene with Kylo, but then Snoke's out of the movie for quite a long time, and I feel like you need a beat with him.
Mm-hmm. Also,
the big issue that I had with the whole ending was that Hooks' character just disappears at the end of TLJ.
Gone. Just gone. Yeah.
And we get kind of like
I feel like he could have been in there. He could have been included. Like he shows he's like, this editor has shown he is capable of inserting Hux from like other movies into stuff. I think this could have been done.
Yeah,
I mean, I did it with Phasma.
Yeah, the last scene that we see of Hux in this film is at the very end of TLJ, and we get this knowing glance from Hux, like, I've got something planned, like, I need to try and depose you, or I don't approve of you, Kylo Ren, as my new supreme leader. Oh, sorry, yeah, we do. Yeah, well, that's even worse then, because he's just not there.
That's the last time we saw him.
Oh, that's right, yeah, and then Richard E. Grant just shows up out of nowhere.
Hello.
And he's our main villain for the end, so yeah.
Yeah, he is. Which, yeah, no, I think Hux could easily be inserted into this, considering what this editor has proven that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Nia Numba during the Resistance meeting says something with subtitles, and it was a clever removal of something. I don't really remember what it's replacing, but it was well done.
I can't remember. Mm-hmm.
Oh, also Luke saying if you don't face Snoke, his lip sync was, or no, it wasn't the lip sync. It was just you could tell Snoke didn't belong, but it was like fine.
Mm-hmm.
It worked. I get it. I get what you're doing. It was, the tone was close enough that I'm willing to accept it, and maybe even if I didn't know he didn't say that, it would have been great. But who knows?
There's a moment in Rise of Skywalker that always makes me laugh, and this is in the original cut, and it's in this edit as well. You get the flashback of Leia training with Luke, and he says she sensed the death of her son at the end of her Jedi path. So now I'm handing my life, and she wanted someone else to take up her journey, and it's like, so you're saying that you want someone else to kill your son?
I guess.
She says like she hoped that someone would take up her saber or something and complete her journey. I'm like, that's really
I have
awful.
No idea.
I mean, I guess that technically does happen in the edit, but well, for a time before she heals him.
Speaking of that flashback, so Leia has a blue saber, like both in canon and in Legends, which I get, but Carrie wanted purple. Just saying.
I think I kept thinking about that, and I kept thinking like, if you change Kylo, in my head, I want to change the Legacy saber to Ben's saber, and I want to make it green. I kept thinking, man, green and purple against Snoke at the end is going to look so good. Just that color combination together will look sweet. But yeah, actually, I couldn't remember what, because I know some things have made Leia's saber yellow. I don't know if that was the Force Unleashed.
No. I've wanted to do that, but yeah, because Force Unleashed 2 had a DLC with an alternate history that did that.
We've had a comment from Tommy Callahan, who agrees with you. I actually agree too. I think purple would have been cool. And if Samuel Jackson says he wants purple and gets purple, if Carrie Fisher says she wants purple, you best make damn sure that it's purple.
Give her purple. Yeah, no, that's if that as a precedent has been set. I want rainbow.
How How very
because it looks
2023
awesome.
of you.
That's still last year.
Oh yeah, it is now. Yeah. Well, I don't think Disney are going to change anytime soon. They've just the director of the Ray movies come out, and she says it's going to be so nice for a female voice to be heard in Star Wars, and for a female to show what she can do in the Star Wars world for the first time, from the same company that has already employed Deborah Chow as director of Kenobi, and the same company that cancelled the Rogue Squadron movie that was going to have a female director. So yeah, interesting. How about you tell a good story? How about you keep saying, "Oh, this is the time that women are going to be heard in Star Wars"? It's like, how about you just write a good fucking script and direct it well? How about that? Is that a wild idea? Just give us an entertaining fucking Star Wars movie, and we'll talk. But yeah, I don't think Disney's going to be changing their ways anytime soon. Maybe if they keep losing money on all of their blockbusters, because the Rey movie is just going to be such a great hit. Can't wait for that. I'm going to be there midnight screening. They lost millions this year. It's been really fun to see, actually. I hope Disney keep up the tradition. Can't wait for that Snow White
movie. So
movie.
the alien pilot voices sound weird.
The
alien pilot voices, they sound weird, like Akbar Jr. and the other guy. At one point, I can tell this female British pilot has been replaced with an alien, and her voice has been modulated.
Oh, I think I heard that he deepened Akbar's son's voice a little bit.
There's that, but also there's somebody else who's just been replaced with an alien.
Oh, okay.
General, you won't make it.
Just like his daddy.
Snoke pushing Rey and Kylo felt a little clunky, but I think it's as good as it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the original film, isn't it? We can't show Kylo Ren being stronger, actually, powerful already. Not Snoke, sorry, Ben in that final moment. It should have been his redemption too, and he spends the entire fucking climax down a hole.
Yeah,
great. The disappearing.
Oh yeah, the shots of him standing, he looks like he doesn't belong, does he? Go on.
Yeah, the disappearing blaster's still in this edit.
Oh dear.
Ben runs in with the blaster, and then literally the next shot he rounds the corner and he doesn't have a weapon. So just how about you just remove all of that scene with him running with a blaster?
Because it harkens back to the previous.
I know he's trying to be like a Han Solo type thing, but yeah. The ending after that just kind of plays out as normal, I think, doesn't it? We've seen in lots of ascending where it. Go on, sorry.
Did Snoke want Rey to kill him?
No, he just said that he wanted her there to kill her, which is that's in TLJ as well. It's like the most basic.
He tells her complete your training and fulfill your destiny. And then she... Is this your car?
I guess it's like a journey towards the dark side thing, so maybe? Again, the lack of footage and the lack of motivation and stuff. Actually, he could have got a voiceover. He could have re-voiced a lot of shit if he wanted to add a bit more.
No, he wasn't. He didn't want to do that. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing what other edits are done with as a big AI. He didn't want to use voice acting. He got stuff from fans, and he got stuff from audiobooks, and he got from the movies.
Yeah. It was imagine what you could do with this.
I say because you told me something was in there, so I assumed it was from an audiobook, but I don't remember. You said I didn't hear somebody say Lady Vader, I gotta be honest.
I thought I heard Lady Vader mentioned. That's in the scene where Ray goes into the
You said
secret
it was in the
blast
Dark
door
Ray
in,
scene.
in the Death Star. Yeah, and she fights Dark Ray, and I thought you hear someone go like Lady Vader, but I could be hearing that wrong. It could just be like
You
ambience
see,
or
the
something.
fact that you said it like that tells me it's in there because it's one of the Nogri from the Heir to the Empire audiobook.
Oh no.
I don't know why it's in there because I guess she's Lady Vader.
What was I going to say? I was going to say, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how you just said it. That's pretty much how you hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I want to see what
because it's
someone.
the Mithrak of Clan Kimbar.
I sure. I want to see what someone can do with this Snoke footage. With like, who
Tabarak's
made that?
great grandmother.
Who made that like Japanese edit with like the subtitles from that movie?
Journal of the Journal of the Wills. What about
There
it?
you go. I want to see this ending with this Snoke footage with a script and a voiceover from that Snoke.
That is an interesting idea.
Because then you can actually have like a full-on conversation. Yeah, it's probably going to be like an exposition dump, but you can actually change things. Oh, we've had a comment. Kaya Rosano says that he watched my Hobbit edit and it's pretty cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for taking 5 hours out of your day to watch it.
Yeah,
seriously, it's a long edit. It's a very long edit, but thank you. I am going to have to get round to doing a version 3.0 of that at some point. I want to kind of rewatch it, and now that I'm out of that editing headspace where I've watched the same footage again and again and again for quite literally years in a row, I can probably look at it. I can probably look at it a bit more with a critical eye now and find what doesn't work and what does work and remove and change some bits. Bless me.
But when you do that, if you're still like release version 3 separately from version 2,
I'm going to keep version. I'm going to keep version 2 out there. I want people to still be able to see that. Yeah, because you're never going to please anyone. I'll probably remove
just an update of version 1.
Yeah, I'm probably going to remove something that's
just going to be an overall attempt at improving.
I'm probably going to remove something that someone really loves, or I'll probably keep something in that everyone seems to hate. I don't know why. I think it's the best scene in the fan edit, but
good.
But you know, why me? Anyway, back to Star Wars.
I know.
I know you know, but they don't know.
Yeah, no, seriously, you need to start putting put clips on YouTube. You have them on Vimeo.
Oh God, I need to remember my
old Fate of the Master and the 2 Thrush videos.
And see your doctor in the morning.
Exactly. And call me in the morning. Oh God, where are we?
McGregor syndrome.
Okay, so yeah, no, so we've got there have been 4 people who say Jaina in this edit. The first was Dengar. And then it was Leia, and then it was Luke, and then it was Ben.
Yeah.
Who do you think said it best? Probably Ben.
Ben, maybe.
If for no other reason, his last words are not "ouch."
Yeah. I keep forgetting that. Yeah, that's true. Would you remove that scene? Would you have him just like jumping down, landing on the chain, and cut to the next scene?
Oh no! The ow is. I felt that.
Dude has done force jumps all the way through the trilogy.
But also, I would like keep. But also, he's used to wearing like gloves and leather.
Oh, it's those goddamn voodoo hide gauntlets that just give him extra suspension on those superhero landings.
Also, I would add like he would have other lines before his death, so I wouldn't be his last words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Throw in a please from The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
When he's trying to save Rey. Anyway.
Yeah.
let's see. What am I missing? Any? Oh yes. So, uh, the ending, the very ending. There's no woman with a camel. No hi Annie. Ray is just looking out at the binary sunset, and Ben is one of the
Mhm.
ghosts.
Yeah. Which I think has been done in
Uh,
one of the edits before, right? Is that an Ascendant where Ben's one of the ghosts?
yeah, where he's one of the ghosts, but the lady's still there.
Yeah. You move the chess game again to the end on the Falcon, which I really like. I think that's a good placement
Of
for
course.
it. Um,
Oh, also we didn't mention it uses immersion effects as Luke with the green saber.
yeah, we see some other planets as well during the all the Star Destroyers falling. We see like
Yeah,
Naboo and things like that. That's from other edits as well, isn't it?
Naboo and
Too.
Coruscant are added. Yeah, you get
Um,
Naboo and Coruscant replacing the shots of from Endor because there were multiple shots from Endor.
I mean, there's other edits that I'd love to see in this, and if I do it, like I'll probably do it with my own. Just soundtrack changes. I've talked about the really strange placement of soundtrack choices, especially but not limited to the Rise of Skywalker. I've got a feeling that I remember hearing that John Williams had recorded like 3 hours of music for it because originally the runtime was going to be much longer when it was originally announced. I remember that it was going to be like 220 or 240 or something like that, and then it was cut back quite considerably the runtime before it was released in movie theaters. And then you get things that are just like chopped in, like the raising of the X-wing scene, and you get Yoda's theme from Empire Strikes Back, and that was all JJ. JJ spoke to John Williams, and he says, "Oh no, just reuse that song that everyone will know from that moment because people will love it." And John Williams had recorded all original shit. The one that really boils my piss is right at the end where you've got the Lando scene talking to his daughter, which is still in this edit, by the way. I've always found that scene really weird. And you've got fucking like Leia's theme. Is it playing in the background, or is it Yoda's theme again that plays? I think it's Leia's theme. I'm like, why is this shit?
No, it's the Leia and Luke Leia learning that Luke is her brother theme.
Yeah,
Hang on,
yeah.
sorry.
It's like, what the fuck is this here? So that's always really annoyed me. That's a saying. I think that's a very British saying. Boils my piss.
Boils my piss.
It's a thing. Hang on, let me try and find Urban Dictionary. This is a thing.
Oh, good. Yes, let's do that.
Hang on.
Let's deviate more.
Hang on, this is fine. We just do this off the cuff. This is just me. Um, Here we go. Urban Dictionary boils my piss. Boil my piss, being made so angry that you can actually feel your piss boiling inside of you. I quote, I can't believe what he just said to me. It really boils my piss. Yeah. There you go. There's a new one for you.
I see.
Get it going. Get it going in the US.
That
We're going to take over.
I see. Are we? Are? Is it? Do you think this is going to catch on in the US?
It will.
Because
It's going to
that
start
the
with
mere
you.
notion of that really boils my piss.
You gotta spread that shit like a disease, okay? I want everyone saying it by the week.
Hey, I say bloody hell. So, and people around me have started saying that. Poor guys.
Oh, bless me.
Oh, God. What about the catch?
I love when you deconstructed Scout's entire argument that time.
I did. Yeah, no, it did. Yeah, it
Out of pocket expenses.
The summary of out of those are everything he used to be like, hey, the dwarves are screwing you over. They didn't. Never mind. Is what.
Never mind as what. Yes, everything appears to be in order. Anyway,
no doubt.
Version 3.0, ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna happen. God. Right, okay. Star Wars. Right, yeah, let's criteria this bitch. Okay, right.
Originality on a scale of 1 to 10. What do you think?
Both parts combined.
Both parts combined.
Do you want me to start, or are you going to kick us off?
I mean, okay. Well, I'll start. I mean, no, because I chose what I was going to pick before we started, so I don't want my decision to influence your number.
Okay. Originality then, both parts put together. I think in terms of its structure and like the villain and actually putting Snoke on there, and I want to say being the first edit to do that, just to undertake that task alone, I think that's pretty original. The
Yeah,
whole sibling thing, I think that's pretty original too. So in terms of the new framing for the story, I think it's much better. The issue is that characters should be having conversations with each other, which you just don't get because of the limitation of the footage. There's
that will
bits,
affect movidity. Remember.
yeah. So in terms of originality, it's difficult because a lot of it is cobbled together from different edits, but also you have those most. You know what? I think that just for those two moments alone, because I don't think any other edits have done it. I'm going to rank it pretty highly. I think I'm going to give it like a, in terms of its plot, I'm going to give it like a 8. I think I'm going to rank it up there because the whole Snoke thing. I think that's quite bold, and no one's ever tried to do that before. So I'm going to give it an 8. Maybe a
Yeah,
bit
I,
too
th-
high.
I
A lot of it's compiled from other edits themselves, so that I should dock it points for that. But I think that the two strongest points of the edit just keep elevating it all the more because no one else has attempted to do that.
no, I completely agree. That I think so. If we were doing these like two, I think they would get a 7 and a 9, and together they would get an 8.
Yeah.
They average out to 8. So yeah, so overall originality, it gets 16 points.
Mm-hmm. Invisibility. A lot of this credit goes to. Oh, sorry. Did you have more to say on originality? Sorry.
No. Go right ahead. And
Okay,
remember,
invisibility.
picking good sources that other editors have done still aids your invisibility.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, yeah. So a lot of,
That's
well, most of the heavy lifting's been done from a lot of other
originality.
edits.
That's why originality is a thing.
Yeah. So most of the heavy lifting's been done from other edits, especially when it comes to part 1, for a lot of the various Force Awakens, things like that.
If I
Invisibility
may
really started
give an
to...
example,
Go on, sorry.
I can just give an example. If you took a movie and you removed one inconsequential scene and blended the audio, that the invisibility of that edit is technically a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Just like that's how separated it is from originality and complexity, just for people to understand, to know.
The prologue felt very fan edity to me, and didn't feel very invisible.
Hey!
It didn't.
I love that guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love
That's
the
a good
Fan
watch,
Edit
dude.
Network. You are you are saints among sinners. I think that's a fair assessment. We're sinners.
Invisibility on part 1's pretty good overall. Part 1's definitely a lot better than part 2, as we discussed, with exception of the prologue sequence. That still does kind of stick out to me. And I didn't think it was necessary, and it did feel very kind of cobbled together, that part. But combining it with part 2, I think Snoke's probably done as good as it can be. Maybe if you wanted to extend this release date by an extra year, that there's moments where he's talking with Rey and the lightning's going off at Exegol, and Rey's face is kind of illuminating. I actually mentioned this to him in a comment. I said that he's really flat. Good. Yeah, I said it's really good what you've got with Snoke as a base, but if you wanted to integrate him more, have sort of like patches of light disperse over his face during those lightning flashes, similar to what's going on with Rey. And I think he liked the comment.
Create an inverted frame.
Yeah,
you can do it using an inverted color frame.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine for what it is, but I think attention could have been paid a little bit more if you wanted to go that extra mile and integrate him even better. But you do have that 1 year time jump in there. You get that really kind of dodgy reused hologram scene, which really stuck out to me. That really bewildering Kylo Ren moment. So a lot of the cuts kind of did present themselves a little bit more. The voiceover, or like bits where Leia says Jane, had really stuck out to me, little bits like that. So Invisibility, I'm still going to give fairly high. I'm probably going to give it like a 7 because the bulk of it's fine, but I've got to dock it points from some of those other bits. It was never so bad that it like really genuinely offended me to the core, but it was noticeable in some bits. So yeah, I give it a 7.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I'm giving it a 7.5 because it's basically I cannot, because like I said, if you remove one scene and smooth it out, you got a 10 out of 10 technically. And so with that in mind, part one is a very invisible edit except for the prologue.
Yeah.
And then you've got Snoke standing and all that. So yeah, that definitely docks part two a fair bit of points. Like you said, the 1 year later feels very edity. So yeah, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. So yes,
there's one bit of Snoke footage I really wish you'd have used in a close up, and it's when Rey shows up at Exegol and Snoke says "welcome." I wish he'd have just used the shot of him going like "welcome," like the actual close up, but instead you get that far away shot where he's just like "welcome" on the throne. It's I don't know. You had the close up shot of that, just and then you get front on Snoke. It's like, oh shit, here we go. We've got Snoke in person now, rather than that distant, far away shot on the throne. So I don't know. That's another change that I'd probably do on top of that. Anyway, necessity.
I'm with you there.
How necessary was
well, first
this?
off, just want to say, Fan Network, I'm getting more excited hearing this review. That's, I mean, cool. We are setting your expectations exactly where they belong, because that's what we are trying to do.
Complexity now, right? Yeah, complexity. Cool. So, oh wait, no, I skipped one. Yeah, I went to necessity just then, didn't I? Yeah, complexity. Sorry. How complex was this idea?
Yes, complexity.
How arduous of a task was it to put this whole thing together? Well, I've got to address this in two halves, just like the edit itself. So part one would have been a hell of a lot easier. You get a couple of little inserts in there. You get a prologue sequence, which I've already mentioned I didn't think was particularly well done and wasn't particularly necessary. Beyond that, you really just get a couple of extra shots that kind of help influence the whole sibling thing and little flashes here and there, which I actually thought were integrated pretty well, and the parts that he chose to integrate those throughout the story I think worked. But in terms of an actual edit itself, not necessarily all that complex, because a lot of it was repurposed and reused from other sources. Part two, however...
No, that aids complexity.
That aids complexity?
Because that aids to complexity, it detracts from originality.
Oh.
Because it is making the edit more complex by having these edited things, these other people's edited things in there, but it's not original to have those.
See, I'm thinking surely it's more complex if you've got to do all this shit from scratch.
Original.
Oh.
Okay. Because all the same work, the amount of work, because it's about the amount of work, not necessarily who's doing it.
Okay, because I was going to say, if I've got to get rid of the beams of light destroying the Hosnian system in the sky and replace it with a Star Destroyer myself, that's a lot of work to do rather than just downloading Hell 9000's edit and just going, yoink, I'm just going to cut that scene out of there and put it in my edit.
That's why you would get a high score
on complexity. Okay. That's fine. That's fine knowing that. Okay, then I guess it's complex because he does draw from a lot of different Force Awakens footage, whilst also influencing his own story. Part two, much more complex. Again, Snoke on Exegol, a bold thing that no one's ever properly done on YouTube. I took a stab at it as like a rough little, what would this be? But in terms of like an actual idea that's been fully realized, fully rotoed, fully lit and everything like that, it's great. And when he posted those, I think those were the first two scenes that he posted from the edit, which got the attraction in the first place. He did 2 Snoke on Exegol videos, and everyone was losing their fucking minds about it. Everyone was really positive, and it looks great. When I was watching that scene, that was the scene that I was really excited about, because I wanted to see how the entire ending scene played out with that. And every scene where I was like, there's going to be a Palpatine scene here in a moment, like the whole I am all the Jedi scene with the lightning. Like, oh shit, what's he going to do here?
I'm a Jedi.
I was racking my brain thinking, what other Snoke footage can he use? Like, what's he going to do? And the side profiles and everything, it's because the cameras, there's so much lighting going on with there. You don't really focus on the fact that it's just like a still JPEG or whatever it is of Snoke, just like that. It's fine. It works. So yeah, complexity, just for that alone, I would give very high as well. I would give complexity like an 8.5, maybe. Part of me kind of wants to push it to a 9, but there's just a few little bits that let it down maybe in part 2, so dock it a little bit. But 8.5, tending towards a 9, but I'll probably settle at 8.5.
We are really like in sync on this one because I also gave it an 8.5.
Oh wow. Just
no,
for the
this
record,
like,
I don't know your scores at all.
it was very important that like I get mine done before we even did the review, so that your score, and then you say yours before I say mine, so there's no way our scores could affect each other. And we're still basically we despite we never agree on anything.
I know. The Solo twins have brought us together. The Fan Edit Network's just posted another comment. I don't know if you want to reply to that first before we continue with the review.
Hate to change the subject, but what are your guys' thoughts on black and white edits? I'm in the process of trying to do a 7 noir edit. I mean, if it works for if it were like that, sounds like it would work. The blackened mantle in black and white as trying to do like a Kurosawa thing, that black and white that works. Watching Pulp Fiction in black and white because your friend said that he was watching it in the bar, got really drunk, and the storm and the color went on the TV because that's how old your friend is, and he said it was like life changing. That's kind of pointless.
Yeah. My thoughts on black and white edits. I don't think I've actually ever seen an edit in black and white, like a full edit. I've only seen certain scenes in black and white. I know some get a theatrical release, like Logan, for example, black and white edit. But then perplexingly, you get stuff like, which everyone was losing their minds over at the time, which was Mad Max Fury Road, where everyone was going, oh my God, there's a black and white edit. But it's like that film is so vivid and the color plays a huge role in that film that I can't even imagine watching that in black and white. The scene where they're letting off all those like powder fireworks and you've got like the reds and the yellows and everything. It's so visually amazing. On the flip side, though, my favorite film of 2023, a film that I really need to do a review on at some point on my channel, actually, Godzilla -1. Phenomenal movie. I've heard that that's getting a black and white edit, and because that film has taken so much inspiration from that original Toho Godzilla film from the 50s, which was done in black and white, I would love to see a black and white edit of this new one, Godzilla -1. I think just visually it'd look much more similar to that original film. It'd be in keeping with the time period and everything. And I think it could look really cool. So, it entirely depends on the film. I think if a film is so dependent on color and the striking cinematography and everything, then maybe air off the black and white quality to it. But yeah, if you're going for a certain like noir theme, or if it can look like Van Helsing, for example, as a weird example, that film starts off in black and white and then segues into color. I think you could do a full black and white edit of that because it would be like the Universal Monsters movies from back in the day, and I think that could look pretty cool. But if you've got a film that's like shit, I don't know, what's like a really colorful, like The Life of Pi, for example, where it's just stunning, like all the way through. Why would you do that in black? It depends on the film. Oh wow! Fan Edit Network says I've seen 8mm in black and white. That was cool. Yeah, that is a. Have you ever seen that film, by the way? 8mm, the Joel Schumacher movie.
I have not.
I think it's. Oh, hang on. Let me check. I'm pretty sure it's Joel Schumacher. Let me just check. It is. It's really dark. It's about like it's a crime thriller, and it's about like snuff films and like the underground porn scene and stuff like that. It's a Nicolas Cage, and it's a really gritty film. Actually, it's very, very good. Anything but if anything, like surely doing it in black and white would disguise that a little bit, perhaps, maybe.
Well, that's what I think. Actually, I've heard it proposed to do black and white edits of Terminator and The Thing, because it would sort of
Mm,
make those effects try to kind of sell better. Uh, all the only tip I can really give in making your black and white look, I don't want to be so bold as to say better, but if you want your black and white to look black and white, I like it actual black and white and not just footage you've made black and white. Raise the contrast.
hmm
Just
Yeah.
trust me. Raise your contrast.
Going back to the review then, so necessity, I think we're up to now.
Oh, you
How
don't want to comment
necessary?
about the SFX on? Oh wait, no, sorry. Wait. Is at networked? Are you saying SFX sound effects or special effects?
There'd be special effects.
Are okay? Because I was thinking sound effects, and then I realized it could be special effects.
At the time, they blew me away, and
Uh,
I've watched a couple of shots from it now, and some of it still looks okay. I mean, it was '04, or '03, wasn't it? I think the film. So it's
Apparently, there's a black and white version on the network. Watch it.
oh, cool. Right,
Anyway,
necessity. How necessary was this edit? I actually think it's up there because I know a
fairly.
lot of people have talked about what if Snoke was the consistent villain all the way throughout the trilogy, just kind of what they did to him in the Last Jedi, and his character really doesn't amount to anything. It's nice to actually see something realized of. Oh, so that's what it would have been like if we'd have had that Snoke from The Force Awakens continuing on. That really just like dark power sat on that throne. It's a really cool scene, and to see it actually fully realized it's good. There's not you want more material there, you want more dialogue, you want more context for that scene. But I get with the limited footage that he had to work with, it still serves as that third act beat at the end of the movie. So I think that's really necessary.
Well
And
said.
I've seen other discuss about the whole sibling thing with Kylo and Rey, and as I say, I don't think I've seen an edit that's actually done that. So um, just from like people's theories and what people wanted to see, it's all kind of realized in this really. Yes, there are some conversations that some characters should have in the film, which unfortunately you don't get, which does kind of let it down. But it nudges it in that direction, so you kind of get the villain that you maybe wanted at the end, and you get a much more stronger connection with Kylo and Rey, a much more consistent one, I should say, throughout as well. So necessity, I think it's up there. I really do. So I'm gonna give it. Ooh, how necessary was this? It does kind of stand out from the crowd and being its own thing.
Swear
I'm
to
gonna go
God.
a 9. Am I gonna go a 9 on this? I think
God
I'm going
damn
a
it.
9.
Yeah, I went with a 9 too.
I'm just spitballing all this right now. I'm just kind of arriving at the score. I haven't written these down. You're much more prepared than I am. So yeah, this is
Yeah, I
Ruvidity. That's
got.
going to be the last
I went
one.
9.
Damn.
I imagine we'll have different movidities.
I think Fan Edit Network's taking off. He says he's going to get started slowly on the edit. Keep up the good work, you guys. Thank you very much.
All right. We're almost done, giving it our final score if you want to stick around, but if not, thank you for being here and interacting. I like I said before, I love your work.
Thanks, man. Enjoy the edit and let us know what you think afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Come back to this and drop us a message.
Just doing all the math.
That's cool, right?
Yeah, but yeah, no. So, considering what the edit accomplishes, and is something I know a large section of the community has definitely been desperate for. I think this is fairly necessary. I think it was clever not using the episodic format, meaning it didn't have to be a trilogy. Plus, it being 2 movies kind of fit with the whole twins idea. Yeah, and also while it stands really well on its own, I know it's going to be a source for some incredible edits in the future.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the 2-part kind of works as well. I mean, I've been playing with structure with my own, thinking like, oh, can I combine 7 and 8 into one part? And you really can't, just with how 7's structured and the climax at the end of that. It's really difficult to get that working. But then you cut out so much of 8 and you cut out so much of 9. 9, you don't really get enough footage to make a second movie. So keeping 7 as it is and then mashing 8 and 9 together is probably the best way to go, which is obviously the way that this went. Obviously, that transition could have been a bit better. Which brings us on to movidity. So this is just how does the film function as a film on its own right, just watching it outright. I guess we could also bring into the question of, is it worth watching the original trilogy? Say if there was a newcomer coming to this, could you just show them this flat out, or would they need to have context and watch the sequel trilogy first and then come to this edit afterwards?
That's a good question.
That is a good question, and I'm actually trying to think of that myself.
I think again there would be a lot of questions that they would have, but I don't think those questions are overly important to the plot being told as it is. That I think it would work fine. And in fact, by kind of cluing in the audience in and not really leaning on the mystery boxes hard, I think I actually think it's a bit of an improvement over J.J. Abrams' style in certain places.
Mm.
What would you give it?
Movidity. So I'm kind of repeating myself here, but this is just going to help me formulate a number in my head. So part 1 pretty much is just Force Awakens with some minor tweaks here and there. The prologue really does let it down for me. And as soon as I sat down to watch this, I was like, fan edit. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I like my fan edits to be as smooth as possible. I guess I like movidity to be as close to 10 as physically possible. Some people don't mind a more chopped up sort of experimental kind of, if they've got the rough kind of mood board there, the rough storyboard of things cobbled together, some people can overlook that and just go, okay, well, I'm kind of just watching this in terms of a new narrative. But for me, I like everything to be, in terms of a movie, I like it to be, if I'm watching this for the first time, this needs to feel like a movie to me. And I think part 1 does have that, with exception of that prologue and maybe some of the flashes throughout, but definitely the prologue lets it down for me. But other than that, I think it is pretty much just Force Awakens, and it's those improved versions of Force Awakens that we've seen, like Hal's edit, like Restructured and things like that. Part 2 is where the movidity suffers a lot more for me. That 1 year time jump, some of the edits, the really noticeable edits that you get on like Luke's Island and things like that throughout. That being said, there are some quite elegant ones with Leia not being blown out into space this time. And then just watching it, knowing that the Snoke footage has been edited at the end, and it's maybe not as integrated as well as it potentially can be, but it's definitely there. But 2 does let it down with some of the voiceovers. So 1's definitely higher, with the exception of the prologue, and 2's lower. So I've got to meet in the middle somewhere. I'm going to give it... I'm torn between 2. I'm either a 7.5 or an 8, because I do think on the whole it's very good. But there are some plot threads that don't really amount to anything. Hooks just kind of disappears. You've got the random thing of Kajimi in there. I think I'm going to dock it to a 7.5. I think I'm still going to give it quite high. Are you actually on? you got it bang on, or have you got 8 or 7, or you got it bang on at 7.5?
7.5.
Oh my god, to the 0.5. That's crazy. I think this is the.
I was debating it making it just a 7.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
I don't think we've ever been this in sync.
No, I think this has been like we were almost tied on pretty much all of these. We differed on
the one thing we differed on a 0.5. I gave it a little bit extra in originality. I think.
But everything else has been...
No, invisibility. It was invisibility. I gave it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay.
So, yeah. So overall, this edit got an 80.5 from us, which is actually much better than most edits we've reviewed.
Yeah.
Usually because one of us is usually much kinder to the edit than the other, but in this we've been so goddamn in sync. I'm honestly I'm a little flabbergasted by this. So
We're
yeah,
like a dyad in the Force, aren't we? Look at that.
oh my god, my fingers, they're growing back. Yeah,
Wow.
so let me just
Okay.
solo twins 80 shit 80.5. So with how things have no, this is the highest score we've given.
I thought it might have been. Yeah. This is up there. No, it's doing some bold stuff that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, no, I'm
as you said, I think it's going to be a springboard for other editors. I think it's going to be a springboard for other editors to use a lot of what's been presented here and maybe potentially nudge it in a different direction or maybe in a stronger direction. But I think as it stands, it's a really
they'll have a lower originality. Yeah, no, yeah, well, I even got C5.5, so this is 15 points above that.
I liked the Admiral Akbar scene in that film.
Did you?
Wait, I thought the Roto was pretty...
Akbar, or are we talking about his?
Oh no! Allah Akbar scene that was looked pretty good.
Okay, in his opening scene, there's a pretty bad Roto, but if we're talking about Allah Akbar, then yeah, no, that was pretty well done.
It was the voice,
and
for
I will
me.
shamelessly call it that.
It's the voice actor and the exposition dump you get for Admiral Akbar in that first scene.
Oh, you want to talk about exposition dumps from Akbar?
Well, we coined that phrase after that point, didn't we? We coined that phrase afterwards. When a character, I guess we need to Urban Dictionary this. When a character just dumps so much exposition because you don't have the footage to show it, and you just need a character to just get all that information across.
Yeah, no, when you have a character who you can revoice in a fan edit, and you need them to exposit your new story, that is called snack barring. Because it's Akbar and Snoke. Because that was how we had originally planned to do that.
And with that's now a verb, which I think is in the English dictionary now, isn't it?
Unfortunately, I don't believe it is. I think Webster told me to fuck off. But I think so. Before any closing thoughts, you want to say?
Closing thoughts. Well, I think Fan Edit Network's already on it, but go and watch this edit. We've gave it very high praise. I think we've been very fair in our criticisms. Hopefully, I don't know if 21C Peasant finds this review. It'd be great if he did, and comments or something like that. But I think it's definitely one of the strongest sequel trilogy edits out there. It's a very bold idea, just in terms of narrative wise. It certainly is. And go and check it out. I don't know how often. Well, this is going to be a neat segue to you in just a second, but it's not all the time that sequel trilogy edits are coming out. I think things have definitely slowed down a little bit now. But with this one and another one, which I guess you can talk about more at the end of this. We've got a lovely upside down poster of it in the background right there. Go and check it out.
Okay, we are talking about mine. I wasn't sure if we were talking about that other thing.
Yeah, no, we're talking about the. Oh, yeah, we did talk about another thing, definitely, which we might do if people like these. We can do more of them. But yeah, this is a strong one, and this has definitely given me. This is going to be a segue, a spark of hope for my own future projects, perhaps in the future when I get time to devote to them. Speaking of spark of hope, JX.
Fuck you. No. I recently released my episode 9 edit that also removes Palpatine. That one. You can read. Upside down.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Here, behold, testament to my vanity.
It's a cool poster.
Because I admit that it's a cool poster. That's what, and also the day I decided to order it, it happened to be on sale. Thus, I ordered it.
Mm-hmm.
because I was just like, I wonder how much that would cost. Normally, $40. That day, $20. I got $20. Hook, line, sinker.
There we go. So yeah, not only check out the solo
But
twins,
yeah,
but
so
have...
I made an edit that I made an edit that tries to the I mean, we referred to it earlier. I wanted to prove that the trilogy can work, except the really fumbled ending.
Mhm.
And I think I did that by just changing 9.
Yeah.
And I think something similar could be done using this as a source. It wanted to bring Snoke back for episode 9. Actually, that could work a lot. In fact, you could have Snoke in the tank still and be like,
yeah,
oh, he's a clone, or he was always a clone, or he's he. Thank you for watching this stream. I got nothing, so I'm just. I think I transitioned that pretty well.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Oh my god! Thank God. God, I hate those. I haven't ended it yet.